Second video. Welcome back, anyone that's back, I guess. In this video, I'm going to be going over a calculator I made based on this tutorial that I'm going to link in the description. And eventually I'm probably going to make my own tutorial on this subject, but so far I'm just going to go over the concepts that I learned and how I'm going to apply that to my next project in log 3. So getting right into it. This is my readme, this is what I'm doing. Here's the tutorial, it'll be in the description, and it's my first full Python sort of project. So the main thing that we have to keep in mind when we're looking at this is that it's like an application. If I load it up like this, like it actually works. Like it does all this, and so you have to have, first of all, for the app, you're gonna have to have a window. So, Tickender will help with the window and whatnot. So if you go down here, this is the window setup. The frame is like what it's actually made out of, like this. And then the label is all of the sort of, backgrounds, words, whatnot. And I just chose like random colors from a palette generator that I wanted for the calculator, so it's not typical calculator buttons, but And then, aside from that, you also have to make all the buttons out. So to make the buttons, you have to have, you want them to be ordered, so rows and columns. So you have to make sure that you label your grid. And this basically means that they'll start, it's sticky west-east. West-east would basically be west-east, so in the middle, So that just keeps everything in the middle, so your rows and columns are correctly out. And then just having all of this stuff sort of keeps it, this is where I chose all the colors, and then for this, it's for column in range of column count. It's the value buttons are here. So this would be up here. Yeah. Color dark blue, foreground and background color orange. The background is the background, obviously, and the foreground would be the letters. But when you go to the actual operators, it's pretty easy. The most difficult part of this, for me, was figuring out the buttons and whatnot. For the operators, basically, it's just, you just put in the math. So, if it's in the right symbols, which would be the right-hand symbols, and if you keep all of your symbols outlined like this, you can kind of just determine it by rows and columns and whatnot. And then this remove zero decimal thing down here is, so if there's a decimal that's just 0.00, instead of just having that annoying part there, you would just get rid of it, because if you can do this percentage and it's still 0, then you don't need that. And then the different floats. So a float has a decimal. So it starts out as a decimal, and then this process right here removes that decimal part if it is unnecessary. And then the string is just gonna make it into some sort of word-based sort of thing, so you can actually write it out. And then the integer would just be a number without a decimal. The values in the top, all of these are also just different things. This button's actually just nothing, it's just neutral right now. I'm gonna work on that later. And then here are more window-based things. Like I said, the window's the hardest part. To actually keep the window open anyways, you have to make sure you have window main loop at the end, otherwise it'll just close out immediately. But so to center the window, you would need all of these complicated things. But basically, what they're doing is they're just taking the width of the screen and the window and just subtracting them so they equal out into the value of the center of your screen. So for me, it's probably, my screen's about 14 inches, so I don't know, this is just the middle, So that keeps it in the middle, and then all of these other things just make that. But it's really not that much code overall, and the tutorial is pretty simple to follow. Basically what I learned is just average window upkeep, keeping all your variables readable and having comments and whatnot. And also, with these sort of things, you want to have a requirements text that I'm working on right now. that you make sure to list out all of the things you might need if you're downloading your project, and that keeps people like able to download it and use it. So that's pretty much it. My next video will be probably soon.